It's a good day today. You better believe it's a good day today because we got the 5 things you must avoid if you are trying to learn a language. And the very first one, you better know what it is. I want to hear you say it though. I want to hear you say it from the depths of your soul. Duolingo. No. Why is he such a Duolingo hater? I'm gonna tell you why, okay? We've gone over this in several videos, but the fact is that it's gonna be having you spend time outside of your target language. It's not customized to you. It's gonna be teaching you the rules of the language before you have any true knowledge and understanding on how to communicate or really dug in yourself. This app is an attempt to hack your dopamine reward center, and it does it extremely well. It gives you a false sense of hope. It gets you going down the line, getting all these hearts and all these things with the stupid bird that the whole thing, I hate it. If you want to do this app, just go right ahead. Just know that it's a language game and don't be confused when you don't actually speak the language or understand in context because you get no context there. You can't patch anything together. You can't make links. It teaches you random words and random sentences. It's all right. So we don't have to spend much more time on that. Number 2 is a real problem because you can avoid this. This you don't even have to go there. You don't have to worry about that. This one though, this is more of an issue. Distraction is the next thing you have to avoid because everyone wants to study by fitting their language learning somewhere in here, right here in this part of the day, just when I got a little bit left, I've done everything else that I think is really important and I'm just going to squeeze that into here. That's where your language learning lives. And it can't live there. That's not where it can be. All right. You have to find a way to carve out time. I've talked about deep work, the idea that you actually get better when you take focused learning time. And what are you doing during your focused learning time? Well, okay, most of the time during your focused study language learning time, you should be focusing on input. That's the best place for you to do that. All right. Most people do not understand and they underestimate the amount of input that's actually needed to learn. And we're going to talk about why people quit when they're using input-based learning because they don't necessarily know all the rules. But suffice it to say, if you are not creating a place, a system where you can get into flow, because getting into flow is one of the best things that you can do. All right. And we're going to talk about that in another video with output and the intensity of your concentration and what happens. But just suffice it to say, distractions will kill you. And that goes for on the day of studying. And that goes also within your consistency when you're trying to learn. It doesn't matter. All of you, I feel like, have probably heard this already. If you are spending 6 hours once a week on a Sunday to learn the language, that's great, but it's not nearly as good as making sure that you hit your marks every day. So that counts as distraction. It also counts as distraction if you carve off 30 to 60 minutes and then you're checking your phone every 10 minutes or every 5 minutes or leaving notifications on and whatever. I want all of your concentration on the thing that you're studying for the duration of the time that you said you were going to study it, period. That's it. Number 3, your desire to hang on to your mother tongue is destroying your gains, okay? Your native language is great. Cool. You gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. Okay? Like a bad habit. As a matter of fact, it is a bad habit because what happens with your native tongue is that you try to implant all of its rules, the grammar, the culture, you try to put it on that language. It did not develop there, bro. It's a little bit better for you, yes, if you're going from Spanish to Italian, right? Or Russian to Serbian. But overall, you gotta let it go. And the other thing that happens here, when you let this go, and I'm gonna give you some concrete examples of what that actually looks like, is that when you're doing this, you gotta realize that all of the mannerisms and all the stuff you got going on, you pick that stuff up too. You can utilize, people have heard of shadowing and all this stuff, but I'm gonna take it one step further, all right? When you start to get into the way that these people are doing things, in the way that they go, what is this? You know what language this is, right? All right. So like all of that stuff can help your language learning. You kind of are getting into a mode. You're playing a character. You are a new person and a new character in your new language, in your target language, all right? Because you don't want this. You do not want distractions. You do not want to be in your native language, all right? Because how can that be possible? You can't be in your native language and be speaking a new language. So you can't be thinking in your native language and speaking a new language. So why are you trying to think, act, and do all the minuscule things within your day in your native language. You have to change. So more concretely, when you're doing push-ups, bro, start counting in your target language. That is a simple thing. Why are you still doing this in your mother tongue? You know that you can change. You guys know there's a little list to the store. Change, right? So many different things that you're doing throughout your day. The small list. I'm not talking about changing your phone. I've said this many times. Don't change your phone. Don't change your computer. If it's your first day learning this language, it's just going to be a disaster. It doesn't make any sense. But you can start to count. You can start to think. You can start to tell yourself your own stories. You can start to talk in your head. It doesn't matter that you clearly don't know the grammar and all of those things. That doesn't matter. The point is that you have to switch the operating system of your brain. And if you stay on your native tongue all the time, those of you who have tried to learn a language, you're not spending enough time. Your brain is not spending enough time in the target language. All right? You have to float off of the shore and just be out there in this weird spot for a while, but soon you automatically learn how to tread water and then you're good. It's 100% the way that this works. You have to do it like this. This is probably for me, one of the things that I've seen for people that actually do the discipline, have the discipline to stop doing stupid things like this, avoid the distractions, and they've been studying for a while. It's because they haven't ever made that proper switch. And it doesn't matter. You don't need to move to another country to do it. Yeah, that would make it easier. But some people move to other countries and speak in their native tongue or speak in English, and they're avoiding that. All right. So don't be that. Number 4, you don't have a goal, a real goal, one with which you can quantify, one with which you know is actually going to tell you whether you can do it or not. You can go to the restaurant and order food, or you can't. You can order an Uber, or you can't. You can say, my name is, where I'm going, what I'm doing. You can read the first page. You can understand that series, everything in the series. Actually, can you do the thing that you started off? Too many people start their language learning with, I'm going to learn a language. That is so vague and so incredibly ridiculous. But it's the same thing that we do in school. You sign up for Spanish 1 or whatever they call it, wherever you're from, and it's literally the same. We're going to teach you some stuff. We're going to teach you some stuff here, blah, 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 blah. And then you test at the end. They test you on some different things like this. They don't really want you to have a true competence of the language. That's not their goal. Their goal is just move along. Say we did some stuff. We taught you some charts, a few conjugations. The only thing you get out of that is me llamo Will. That's not enough. It's not enough because we didn't have a goal in the first place. We weren't focused. And the focus, which I could also put here and all this, but I guess it should go probably right here, has to be set at the beginning. At a later stage, you're gonna figure out what it is that you need to do. But at the very beginning, in order for you to know that what you're doing is working, you need to make sure you have goals so that you have something to measure. Most people can, in a general sense, start to understand when they have better comprehension, but they don't entirely know why they can't recall something because they're not practicing their active recall. Why? Because they haven't set themselves up to know what it is they want to study, right? And there's a term, apparently, language islands, it's out there for most people, and it's different for us. You know, we have something called the Artificial Immersion Key that kind of gives you a way to figure out, like, all right, where am I going to center myself when I'm trying to learn a language, right? That matters. This thing matters. And you don't need a lot. When you take our courses, we have you guys, depending on if you're in artificial immersion intense, right? There's people that are taking our 45, 75, 90, 120 day sprints, right? With tutors 3 days a week. They're getting after it. They have to have an exact, okay, after 2 weeks, we're here. After 4 weeks, we're here. After 6 weeks, we're here. That's how it gets set up. You can either do it or you can't. And right, with this, they don't care. No one cares at all. With this, you're never going to get there, right? And then staying in your native language, it's not really going to work. You have to chop away at it. And here, if you don't know how to measure what you're doing, then you know you never get there. It doesn't make any sense. All right. And the very last one, number 5. All right. This is the stages. This one, we probably should make a whole, can I write? Okay. We would probably make an entire video just on this. This right here is one of the main reasons why people quit. If you want to know, if you've been studying this for a very long time and you've been doing and avoiding all these things, this is why I have this as number 5, and you are still quitting, it's because you don't know the stages. In our course, Artificial Immersion, We teach you about the hierarchy of competence, which tells you where you're at in the stages of learning, because that's very important. But on top of that, you just need to know language learning specifically, which is going to tell you that comprehension is going to come first. You are going to be able to understand. There are a ton of videos out there that talk about what to do when you are blocked, when you feel like you can't speak, but you kind of know the language. Well, there's two things probably happening. Number one, you're not practicing enough of that active recall. You're not actually speaking. You're not actually writing. You're not expressing yourself. So your brain has no training with it, right? And so when we talk about how easy it is for kids to do stuff, they want stuff. I want food, right? If I made you learn another language and only ask me for food in that language, how quick would you learn? How quickly would you get to communicate? Because the key in artificial immersion, which I don't have up here, right? But okay, the link is right down below. You guys can check all that stuff out, and we have other free materials and different things that you guys can get into. The key is communication. You are seeking to be perfect first, all right? I can make 20 of these videos and choose another different 5, right? But you don't need to be perfect. You need to be able to communicate. Once you communicate, which we're going to track this along with the kid, right? That just goes food, water, right? Give. What is wrong with that? Absolutely nothing. But their brain is training to be able to communicate, because that's the first step. Those stages are incorrect. All right, you have the stages backwards. So those two things that I'm referring to that are wrong. Number one, you might not be practicing enough active recall and actually trying to express yourself, which doesn't, I know some of you guys that don't want to speak out in front of people or have anxiety, you can write, you can talk to yourself, you can prepare a speech. We've talked about those and different people and different polyglots with their methods. That's one. The other is the amount of input that you are actually getting. How much have you gotten? Have you gotten enough for you to feel comfortable? Have you gotten enough for you to just sometimes blurt out some stuff? Because that will happen if you get quality input, right? So I'm not explaining input for those of you. I'm assuming that some of you guys know, but just for the people who don't, I say this all the time. I guess you guys can tell me if it's annoying just to always repeat it, but I never know who's going to see these videos. Honestly. So the first thing to know is that you got to be hitting somewhere right just above your level. You have to be searching for material that is just above your level. If it's way too high, you're wasting your time for the most part. All right. Now, if it's too low and too easy, it's boring for you and you don't want to do it. You want to keep these things small. You want to try and break them down to 10, 15 minutes, all right? Or if you're watching a show or a series, and it's got to be something that's graded reader made for you to learn a language. It's got to be in slow German and slow Spanish and slow Chinese. Whatever it is, it's got to be made and adapted for you. Spend your time doing that. When you can understand and you have context, that's gonna send you way higher and way higher. And then you've got to get a ton, okay? So there's so much more that I could talk about here. I feel like that's a good enough thing as a wake-up call for you guys to remember and what to avoid. Just take these things to heart. If you do these, literally starting from right now, if you eliminate this, if you stop with distractions, if you get away from your native tongue, if you get a goal, and then you understand that what you're doing is going to give you fruit, in just a few days, you will be better. In just a few days, I'm telling you, I'm not expecting you to go give a speech to the UN, but I'm telling you, you will be able to tell that you can learn a language. It is such BS. Well, I can't do it. We can't do all this crap that they have everybody thinking, right? That it's impossible, all right? Yeah, and I'm well aware of the people that are out there trying to tell you that you can learn a language in 1 second. That's not what I'm getting at. But you can do this, and we know exactly what to do. And also avoid electronic frickin' materials when you are trying to learn. If you can get this book in your hand, okay, get it. I'm not saying to avoid any of the stuff, and I'm not going to make this video about AI. I've already gone on long enough. Just know, all right, that if you can get anything in the real world, if you can touch it, right, en stylo, that's it. You can feel it. You can mess with it, and you know, en stylo is way better than having to see it on the screen. The research is clear. We know this. They're even getting ready to take this. They've already actually taken a lot of electronic materials out of schools in many countries, all right, and gone back because they can show that the testing of the kids, it's not helping. We thought this stuff was going to help. It's not helping. So we're taking it away and going back to the old school way, all right? So I would say if you're a person who loves to read on the screen, I'm not saying not to do it. I'm saying that if you do it, if you do use the computer or an iPad or your phone to read on and do that stuff, once you're done, shut it and then try and use your brain and your imagination, all right? So whatever. This stuff seriously will help you. That thing right there literally is the worst thing ever in the freaking world. Don't do it. Okay? Bye.